Alright, so today I want to talk about two currencies that a lot of people are probably holding onto right now, Arena Currency and Celestial Jade. Both of them have some pretty interesting options in their respective shops, but not everything feels equally valuable. Some rewards are things I'd pick up right away, while others are probably something I'd leave for later. So let's take a look at both shops and go through the options that stand out the most to me, starting with Arena Currency. So let's get into it. First, we have sword stones, and as you can see, there are a few different things available in the shop. Now, the first thing that usually catches people's attention is the skill section. It's easy to see why, because getting new skills or skill copies always feels valuable. But if you ask me, I'd still put the flying artifacts above everything else. Some of you probably already know why. Flying artifacts are one of the biggest sources of stats in the game, and the stat pressure they provide becomes more and more noticeable as you progress. Especially in PvP, where even a small stat difference can make a huge impact, flying artifacts can give you a meaningful advantage over time. That's why whenever I see flying artifacts available in the Swordstone shop, they're usually the first thing I'm looking at. Personally, I think they're the most profitable purchase you can make from here. Once you've picked up the flying artifacts, then I'd start looking at the skills and skill copies. Those are still useful, especially if you're working on upgrades and trying to improve your current setup, but for me they come after the flying artifacts. So if you're wondering what I would spend my sword stones on, my order is pretty simple: flying artifacts first, then skills, and then skill copies afterwards. That's usually the route I'd take every season. Alright, let's jump into the next one, Celestial Jade. This shop resets every 2 weeks, so it's definitely something you'll want to keep an eye on whenever the reset comes around. Now if you ask me, the one item you absolutely shouldn't miss here is the Tao Karma essence. That's usually the first thing I'm looking to buy every single reset. It's one of those resources that always feels useful, and it's something I never like to skip whenever it's available. After that, I'd also recommend picking up the flying artifact. Just like the Swordstone shop, flying artifacts are still a very solid purchase and something I'd prioritize whenever I can. Once you've picked up those two, the rest really comes down to what your account needs the most. You can go for skill copies if you're working on upgrading your main skills, or you can pick up the Soul Firebox if that's what you're currently focusing on. Personally, I tend to lean more towards skill copies because you're always going to need them sooner or later, especially once you start investing more into your core skills. But honestly, either option is fine depending on where you're at in the game right now. So for me, the order is pretty simple. Tao Karma Essence first, Flying Artifact second, and then either skill copies or soul fireboxes afterwards. Anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover for the Celestial Jade shop. That's the route I'd personally take, and hopefully it gives you a rough idea of where to spend your resources. That's it for this one.